Come on. Now.
All right. Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show. Jazz here, joined by always Vish and Danny
So
Gillette, and we've got
How we doing?
the legendary Larry Bluestein on with us today. So that's awesome. We're really excited about that. Appreciate it, Blue, for coming on and joining us on. Hey, listen, it's FSU week, man.
yes,
You had to make time for us over here.
I
man.
had to. I had to. Me and Dono beat it to death earlier in our podcast, so it's a must listen. It's a must listen.
Chris, you're joining. By the way, we got Chris from Chris, aka Kane's Legacy from Kane's Insight, joining us already. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy?
How you doing, guys? It's a pleasure.
We're joining the presence of a god over here, the legend Larry Bluestein. We got him on the show today. So
yeah, I saw him just now. I got nervous. I was like, oh my god, my history. My history is right.
What'd I do? Go to the wrong place?
you're in the wrong place. What are you doing here, Blue? You're in the wrong show now.
Yeah. Well, only for you, Jazz. You know that.
I love you, Blue. Thank you, man. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, we can get started a little bit on just what happened last weekend. Talk a little bit about Georgia Tech before we get Flo on the show in about 15 minutes or so. He's coming on as well. We'll talk a little FSU and just the state of the program as well. And we'll kind of get started real quick. My 2 cents on the whole thing. Obviously, I think the game may have been, well, as usual, right, closer than it maybe should have. Right, with all the turnovers, and I don't know if we'll see those. What was it, 5 turnovers or whatever it was? So three fumbles, just kind of craziness. It was. I didn't know what the hell I was watching, to be honest with you. I was like, is this real life with all the things, all the craziness that was going on throughout the whole entire game? So we did see some really exciting things. I mean, the first one that I'm going to throw off right off the bat is the Avante Williams interception. That was just an absolute highlight of a play. I can't believe that didn't get on like. That one and the Mike Harley catch in the end zone. I don't know how those didn't get on ESPN for top 10 plays at all, but whatever. Yeah. Who cares? Who gives a crap about that? Those are probably the best plays in the game that I saw, that I noticed all game. Tyler Van Dyke had another big game. Really nice throwing the football as well. Like I said, we had a couple fumbles. 3 fumbles that could have probably led to more points, and so the game was a little closer than maybe it should have been. But again, the defense still needs a lot of work. We'll start with Blue on this game, Georgia Tech. You were at the game, Blue. We were sitting with each other for a little bit as well. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw in the game and just the overall performance of the Miami Hurricanes on that one.
Well, and obviously everybody listens to, a lot of people. The one thing that I said before the year, I said every game is going to be in that 41 to 38 range. It really is. Miami's defense is really not good. I mean, and in the places where they're good, they're not deep. And that's causing a problem. Well, not much of a problem, because all the offense is doing right now is gearing things up. Without De'Aaron King, it's a whole different ball game, because now we're seeing the Lashley that we thought we'd see. Because now he could open up his playbook and feel confident that Tyler Van Dyke is not going to give him a look every time he calls a play, that De'Aaron King would, being a 23-year-old whatever who's been around. So now it's his deal. He goes up. He's got a quarterback that, if you remember, with King, his first step is either right or left. It's not staying in the pocket. So that puts more stress on a line that's still in the process. So the line's moving. You're getting defensive guys who are quick anyway. So to me, the essence of what I've learned over the last couple of weeks is that Miami's offense needs to be this sharp, and they need to understand that the reason why Lashley came here is because he threw to the tight ends. What has he done the last couple of weeks? Throw to the tight ends. Wide receiver. Look, I mean, the godsend here, I mean, without a doubt, is Rambo. I mean, this guy's All-American. Right now, I would say he's like close to being a first-team All-American for what he's done and the games that he's had. So, to me, Tyler Van Dyke has been just what I thought he would be, not maybe now, but maybe down the road. A very athletic, very smart, very driven guy who has a really good arm and is a versatile type of kid. So, what I've gotten over the last, especially out of the Georgia Tech game, is that Miami will never be out of the game because they've got the weapons. offense. Defensively, they kind of put themselves in some peril a lot unnecessarily, but they're not a good defense. I mean, and it needs a lot of work, but you got young kids in the place, and over next year or so, it'll be the strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm so excited about Tyler Van Dyke. We spoke about him so much before about how it was going to be such a big competition between him and Jake Garcia. Maybe not this year with De'Aaron King, obviously.
Sure.
Everything kind of fell into place for Tyler Van Dyke as well,
Yes,
right? I mean, Garcia got injured, so he obviously wasn't a factor. De'Aaron King, got hurt as well, so he's not a factor. Everything was in place for him, and he's starting to show, obviously, how good he can definitely listen to a 4-star guy coming out of Connecticut.
Right.
Big arm, baseball guy. So the athleticism was there. He put it all together. He's starting to show why he could possibly be a Heisman candidate next year, if you ask me. I mean, right now, just off of his body of work, if he continues to do what he's doing, I think next year he's poised to be that guy that he could be taken in the first round. He could be taken. He could be a Heisman candidate type of quarterback. And I'll kind of go around, and we got.
I just want to see him win. I want to see Miami have a winning season this year. I don't care about next year. Let them have a winning.
Fair point.
I mean, I don't care what he does next year. Let him do it this year, because he's the one thing that's good. It's going to be the best quarterback room they've had in so long, because you've got Jay Garcia, who's right there, who could have easily been either one of these guys who were in this situation, and it happened to be Van Dyke, and rightfully so, because he's been there the year before. And before I let go, I just want to let you know that it was 2 years ago. Xavier Restrepo told me when I saw him, he says, this Van Dyke kid is a freak that they've never had before. His release is crazy. And he said he was rooming with him. He says at 2:00 in the morning, he's running apartment steps. I mean, so the kid's driven. He's driven, and you've seen that, and he wants to succeed, and he's deceptive, is what he is.
Yeah, he's deceptive. That's a great word. And by the way, I know you guys noticed, and so did Gary, that Danny is wearing a Nebraska shirt. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he covers Big Ten football sometimes.
It's my only long sleeve too. It's cold up here. I'm not like you Florida guys got the nice weather. I gotta adjust to the cold up here.
It's cold here too. I manned up and put on a Miami t-shirt.
What is it, like 60? What is it, 60? Ooh,
it's
so
like in
cold.
the 50s. It's in the 50s.
Oh, okay. Cry me a river. All right.
I guarantee you, I would not have access to a Nebraska sweatshirt. The whole thing is not acceptable.
Yeah.
I cover the Big Ten. Miami's disappointed me so much. I'm covering the Big Ten now.
Yeah,
no,
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
They do
so damn well. I don't blame you.
They have issues. Nebraska has issues of their own.
Definitely.
So
This is taking a turn.
Nebraska made a mistake by ever leaving the freaking Big 12 conference, because they can't recruit Texas anymore.
I agree, but it's all about money. It's all about money.
Yeah, money and 5 and 7 records every year. That's the one thing. Settle in.
They did make a mistake. They did make a mistake. I will agree with that. Yeah.
Frost would be winning national titles for UCF by now if he wasn't lured back to those stakes and stuff.
You're right. You are right.
Flo is in the house. What's up, Flo? What's up, Big Daddy? How you doing, man?
What did I just walk in on?
Yeah, I mean, this is
like what just happened here? I see a Nebraska shirt. I see Blue going after him. Like, what's going on right now?
Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
When Blue comes on the show, this is a shit show here. So fair warning. Let's go to Chris. I mean, look, we'll go real quick to the guys. Just a little snippet on what you saw last week, Georgia Tech game. The progression of this team as a whole. I know the defense still has a long way to go, but what you kind of like, what you saw out of it, and what you want to see more of, and what you didn't like, right?
Well, I liked obviously like what the offense looks like now. It seems like it's actually kind of rolling into something where it was intended to be. And like Blue said, like sometimes it's just having a different guy in a role, and he's like, TVD's a guy who's prepared, who knows his role, and the offensive line has looked much better too. And a big part of that is, they know what they have back there. And De'Aaron King, a lot of his ability was running the ball and moving around in the pocket a little bit. Now like this dude's going to be right back there. It's 3-step drop. He's going to that third step, stepping up, making a throw. So the trust that the offensive line has in the quarterback is reflected quarterback to line. And then also the run game is way, way better than it was at the beginning of the year with Jalen Knighton. like Rooster is able to take some of those little runs and make a big play out of it. Whereas Cam Harris, as you know, as good as he has been at times, he's pretty limited as a ball carrier. He likes that like get to a spot and then cut up field and just run. But you know, there's limitations with that. With what you have in Rooster is that the defense can't overcommit to a spot, because there was run cut he had it on a play last week that Steve-O did on his review where he like almost broke it, where he knew he got up. He's like, like he was like a shoelace away, where he set up the linebacker, where the linebacker came diving into the D tackle's butt, and he just cut off of it with like that was like just the slightest little move inside to make him think he's coming in and bust right back outside. Those are little things that Cam couldn't do. So that the offense right now looks perfect, looks exactly like you want it to be. But the defensive side, you have no linebackers, or you have linebackers that do not know how to play in the system or play the scheme or just play, which is putting us really behind. Because I mean, we gave up 17 carries to their top two backs for 142 yards. 17 carries for 142 yards. They only ran the ball 20 legit times a game, not including the quarterback. Their top two guys, 17 for 142. Like that's just failing football, and that's all second level defenders getting caught up and not making plays.
Yeah. Flo, we'll go to you, man.
I mean, I'll just piggyback. I'll start on the offense. I think the one dynamic that Rooster brings that none of the other backs bring is that you don't know if he's going to go out for a pass or he's going to be running the RPO. So what happens is you don't see the defenses stacking like they used to stack the box. Number one, because you got TBD in there now, and he'll just look over the top. But second, Rooster has also been coming back a little bit where you have to put a linebacker on him, which is right. I think Rooster's making a lot of that offense look better. I'm not taking anything away from TBD because it's pretty obvious what that guy has been doing for the last few games, right? But I think Rooster just gives a different dynamic to that offensive line. 100%. You know, I'm a little nervous that we're like maybe overusing him a little bit, you know, but you know, he's not the biggest guy. He's a tough dude, not the biggest guy. You know, and he's our last hope back there. I know we got some big boys back there, but I don't know if they trust him to pick up the blitz yet. You know, I think that's key. And TBD is TBD. I have nothing to say. I just love his grit. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of him is just tough. He's a tough dude, man. He's a tough blue collar quarterback, and I don't know the last time we had one of those here. On the defensive side, I think you see. I mean, Cam Kitchens is that guy. He was that guy in high school. He's just way smarter than a normal freshman is. He understands the defense in and out already. He's got great angles. I love how he's got good assignment awareness. I've been on record. I know it's not popular. I don't think James Williams is a safety. I'm sorry. I think he's a great player, one of the greatest to come into Miami from an athlete standpoint. But you're starting to see what's happening to him in open field a little bit when you're running against D1 guys that are a little different. You know, I know I'm in the minority on that. Let's see how it plays out in his career here. But you saw his first freshman game, pretty much, if you know what I mean by that. He made a lot of freshman mistakes in the last game when you go back and watch the tape. I love him. I think he's the real deal. I just wish they'd put him a little closer to the line more often. And I agree with you with the linebackers. I mean, we just don't have any. I think Keontre is the only one that really balls out.
By the way, you're not in the minority. I don't know. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not in the minority on this show, believe it or not, Flo. I think that we've all kind of echoed that sentiment a little bit, that we think that James Williams is going to be better in the box, right? As a linebacker, guy in the outside, because he still has those coverage skills, but you see, like you said, his limitations a little bit when he plays a safety position. You can see it, you can still see it, but he's going to be a thumper, right? So he's going to lay the wood.
Look, he's a freak. I want to make sure I'm clear. Like, I think he's a freak, and in high school he can get away with a lot of stuff because of his length, you know. Right. Not that he's not any smaller in Division I football, but these guys are legit D1 athletes now, and they're going to exploit some of those, in my opinion, not superior, you know, skill sets to play the safety position. I think he's going to be a day one guy in the NFL if he stays healthy, just not at safety.
But by the way, and a perfect example of that is, I'm not saying he's not, like you said, he is a freak, but I don't know if that interception that Avante Williams made, I don't know if James Williams, that type of interception, I don't know if he makes that. He makes a play. I think he'll make a play. But, man, right. I mean, that, and I know, Flo, you're a big Tay guy. You love Tay. You say when Tay gets on the field, he's not coming off. And I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But that play, that was wild. that pick.
A lot of people forget because of what he's been through. He's one of the one or two best safety coming out that year. The dude, his change of direction is just next level. Like, you've seen guys that are fast, explosive, but that can change on a dime without changing their body weight and just keep leverage with their knees flexed. I haven't seen a dude like that in a while come to Miami at that position that has also that explosiveness. You know what I mean? I think Cam is a different type of safety. Cam, to me, is like, he's going to end up being the glue of that defense, in my opinion. I really think Cam is going to end up being the glue of that defense.
Very Jaquan-like. Very Jaquan-like.
Dude, you saw it in high school, though. The dude is just, it's his position. Like, he was born to play that position, in my opinion.
Yeah. Vish, real quick, we'll end on this, because I think that we all brought up the play of Rooster and how great it was. But it's 32 carries, man. That's a lot of carries. I mean, and I know he can handle it. I get it, and he doesn't back down from a hit, right? So I love the contact. For how small he is, right? He still goes up there and he'll punish you, right, as opposed to try to get hit. So, still, I don't like the 32 carries. I think that a guy like Thad Franklin, Cody Brown, I mean, those guys have to step up and start getting more carries, first of all, and second of all, when they get the carries, they need to be productive, right?
Yeah, and I think some of that carrying the ball that much was there to Blue's point. I think everyone's touching on it. The defense is bad, and they're protecting the defense some too. Those games turning into shootouts, I think they're trying to control the ball a little bit, give the defense a break, but you can't give him the ball 32 times. He did get banged up. Fortunately, was able to play through. We were this close to being, Brown, Franklin, and that's it. Like, you can't have that. And obviously, the short yardage situation was not ideal. Let's just put it that way. In terms of running in those third and fourth and shorts, that none of that worked. But yeah, I think they got to figure out a way to spread the ball to the other end. It's situational. I think it's really difficult when the only time they come in the game is on 3rd and 1 and say pick this yard up. Like, give them a possession when you're up, right? Build a lead, give them a possession. That's the other thing. We're so on edge at all times. Like, without those fumbles, you build a 2-3 touchdown lead. You can let Brown or Franklin have a series. But when everything is like 3 points, 5 points, 10 points, like it's right there, you're not comfortable rotating in the freshman. So part of that is just playing a little cleaner, don't turn the ball over, capitalize a little better. And then you get that opportunity to work in some of these other players. Because the other young players that are playing are out of necessity. And at running back, if we have Rooster there and you're in a situation where you feel like we need to score on this possession, which feels like every possession at this point, then you're gonna go, we gotta put Rooster back in, right? And that's too many carries for, I think, any running back, really, and especially he's not exactly the biggest running back, so it's just, as Flo said, he'll answer the bell and he'll keep running in there, but we gotta protect him a little bit too and kind of, work in these other kids. And if we do that, I think that'll help. I think we're going to continue to lean on the running game a little bit more again, just to protect the defense, because the issue we've had in the last, like those, we were up 21-7 real quick against Pitt, but they were not scoring because they would make like a penalty or something. Like, it was so obvious that even when we're up 2 touchdowns, this is going to go down to the end because neither of these defenses could stop anyone. And I don't think that's necessarily the game we want to play. I think we want to at least try to get stops, protect the defense, force other teams to drive a little bit. And when we get in that, as bad as the defense is, when the pace picks up and both teams are going back and forth, they get way worse. And I thought I know this is kind of faint praise, but that was probably their best defensive performance. And I think part of that was, frankly, Rooster took one for the team and kind of we ate some more of the clock and allowed the defense to rest a little, especially without the depth. I mean, Ragon's back on the depth chart. Like, we're not gonna be able to rotate that much, so we gotta probably limit their time on the field. The other thing, we're just talking about the safeties. I mean, whether this year or next year or whatever, you're gonna want Williams, Kinchins, and Tay on the field at the same time, right? And so that means one of them's got to move in the box, and I think we all know who that is. So we're not playing with 3 safeties, and all 3 of those kids need to be on the field. So to me, that answers itself, really.
Chris, before you get on out of here, because I know you got your show. By the way, plug your show so that everybody can go over there and check it out. After that. What's going? Talk to me.
Well, real quick, finish watching this show first because Blue's here, so you got to finish watching this show. But yeah, so Canes Insight Live, we go live at 9, but you guys jump in whenever you guys are done. But either way, it's the one thing Vish was saying about Jalen Knighton. That is, it's important to find spots where you don't have to overuse him. Like, you don't need to use him every time we did. And, like, a big part of that is Brashard Smith. Like, getting him more acclimated into the offense and not just like, oh, Brashard's in, like throw him the screen. It's the same thing as using the big dudes for like 3rd and 1 plays where it's exactly this. Like if Brashard's on the offensive, if he's lined up in the backfield twice and each time is a screen to Brashard, like that's not a way to work him into the offense. That's just like gimmick. And it's going to fail most often because then he's like, oh, there's 12. We know what's going to do. Like, right. You got to use some of those just like in the middle of the game. Just run him out there. Even if the ball isn't necessarily going to go to him, just run him right out of the backfield. If it goes to him, great. If not, no big deal. Just to kind of ease up the load on Knighton in that regard. Because realistically, you want to give Knighton the ball as many times as possible. So maybe he's getting similar carries, not 32, but like he's getting 25, 24 carries a game. Maybe getting another 3-4 touches in the air, whatever it might be. But if you can get him off the field for stretches to get him a blow, get him a rest here and there with Rashard Smith, I think it'll have a big impact on his health long term.
Yeah, man, for sure. Chris, man, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Everybody go check out his show, King's Insight, after you hear Blue talk a little bit more.
Yeah, listen. Thanks, guys.
All right, man, thank you. Real quick, before we kind of move on, I wanted to kind of mention something that, I was kind of, I don't know, thrown off by it. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the first series on offense, I mean, we had Romello Brinson in, Jacoby George, and we threw back-to-back passes. I mean, each one was 20 yards, right? It was a 20 yards in route to Romello, and then a 20-yard in route to Jacoby, or vice versa. I don't remember how it was. And then all of a sudden, I feel like we never saw him the rest of the damn game. And I'm not. That's not to take away. Obviously, Rambo is having an All-American type season, and he's kicking ass. And Keyshawn is doing really well. X was kind of quiet this game, but Mike Harley made a big play in the end zone. So the wide receivers are doing great, but at the same time, why did we go away? I mean, why did they disappear the rest of the game after having 2 big catches the first drive of the game, and then just kind of disappear? I don't know, Blue. I mean, did you notice that as well?
Yeah, no, I noticed it. I just think that, sometimes that play calling kind of baffles me. But, I can't be inside his head. I know, I understand a couple of his plays, but no, I just, you think to yourself, but it's just not now. If you remember, I think that was what was wrong with Wiggins. If you remember, they'd go to Wiggins, he'd have an 8 or 9 catch game, and the next game, nothing. See, you got to be more consistent if you're going to be a playmaker, and it's sort of like being a DH, or you're getting to play once every couple of days. You just can't get in any rhythm, and I think that's what's happened, with these guys, I think. And he has a tendency to just go to too many guys. It's weird. I think it seems like, he goes away from people like you said. Rambo's having an awesome year, but at the same time, you got a whole bunch of other weapons. But the offense will never concern me because, other than if to me, I kind of disagree against Florida State. The first play, what they're looking to do is trying to get momentum with that dope crowd. And what's going to happen is you get a ball, they'll be in your backfield, and they'll be 2nd and 12, and the place will go nuts. I say do a straight fly pattern with Will Mallory. Just go. And let's see if a safety or linebacker is going to be quick enough to pick them up, and you could stun somebody or at least put somebody on notice that you're not just running the ball. You're going to be throwing this, and I kept thinking about that today because everyone goes, oh, they should need to run the ball, but eventually, but don't give that crowd any momentum.
Real quick, before we get to you, Danny, big ups to Negus, Terry, who else? We got Jasmine on, Supreme Goon 27, Army Kane. Thank you guys, man. We see you.
Absolutely.
What's good? Danny, you in that Nebraska shirt. Shit. Say something. Say something good.
Tell us about the triple option, man. Come on.
Yeah.
The fullback, the power eye.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we could use a fullback.
We could have used a fullback, to be honest.
Yeah. No, but it's been very interesting to see you guys were talking about the usage of Knighton, and when Rhett Lashley, he ran one of the fastest offenses at SMU, so it's interesting to see the juxtaposition of running the football and kind of managing and slowing down the clock. Now, hopefully, you know that Miami obviously has the ability to open up the offense, and it's FSU week. Maybe we'll see some special things. Maybe we'll run the ball more, but I do agree that this defense has some holes and that running the football may be the best option. So Miami has a lot of directions that they can go, and I'll be interested to see what they do this week, especially after running the football so much last week.
Well, here's the thing, Flo, right? The offense they got it going on. So I think anything they do right now is it could work, right? Anything they do, whether they go trick plays, whether they go double reverse flea flicker, whether they go straight up and just say, all right, we're going to beat you down the field. We're just going to throw the ball down the field. Oh, screw it. We'll just go Jalen Knighton all day. Anything is going to work right now. They've got it going. They've got it firing on, I would say, all cylinders, right? As cliche as it is, it's the truth, right? So now the biggest thing to me is going into Doak Campbell. A lot of these young cats, they haven't been in this atmosphere, in this game. And I don't care what you say, right? Like, we're still going into Tallahassee. We're playing a rivalry game, whether we're both bad, whether we're both good. Listen, at the end of the day, they're playing a little bit better, right? They Jordan Travis.
Oh, yeah.
And I was listening to you yesterday with Max. I mean, Jordan Travis is, he's a lot different than he was last year when we played him, right? He looked atrocious last year. He's a little bit better football player this year. If he plays, they've got something that we haven't really seen all year yet, right? And that's the ability to get first downs and make his legs an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to always pick at what the player can't do. Okay, that guy can't throw the ball. He can't throw. Yeah, but what he does well is elite. Like, and what's Miami's, and this is just, again, my opinion, where I think schematically Miami is dropping the ball dramatically, is they got a middle linebacker that you don't want to put him in space as the spy. We've been using Corey Flagg as the spy. All right, now Corey might be good at filling a gap, and he's got a good IQ, but lateral movement and chasing people down is not his strength. And we're using him to spy the athletic guys. If they come in with that same mentality with a Jordan Travis, it's going to be a long, long night for us. And it has nothing to do that Jordan is better than Corey or Corey. It's on the coaching staff to put the players in the best position possible to execute, right? I love what Blue said. Let's put out Will Merrill and see if a safety goes out on him. It's a matchup thing. Miami's got more talent. I know it's still FSU. I get it. I know it's a rival game. You never know what's going to happen. But you match roster to roster right now, Miami's got a better roster. Let's see who goes out and matches out with him. I think it's a matchup game unless Miami wants to go in there with an ego. If Miami wants to keep this simple, I think they just can't match up with us as long as we don't turn the ball over. And I just want to throw this in here. I would love to. I know he's in bad grace with the coaches, but I would love to see some Thad Franklin in this game. If we are gonna run the ball sometime, I would like to see some Thad Franklin. I just think it's a different mentality with him back there. He's a grown man already, and he runs like a grown man already. I know. I don't want to get into it. I know he's in bad grace with some of the coaches or whatnot. But if we can get him some carries, I think he's going to surprise.
Let's get into it.
I just think that I really think he brings a different dynamic, that we don't have back there. He's a physical runner, but he doesn't have elite speed, but he's got quick feet. He's got light feet, and I mean the dude can move. Right. I would like to see him.
A short yardage guy and down near the goal line, I agree. Because that way, at least you give him an opportunity to do what he does best. Because you want to kind of save Rooster because that's where you get most of your injuries, all the way in piles like that when everybody's being aggressive and they're grabbing at everything. Mm-hmm. So, that I agree. I think down low you need – but you know what? I'm not going to sell Brown short either. I watched him in high school, man. That kid was a beast. Yep. That kid, Tennessee wanted him so bad. This kid's a beast, but I understand about that. That is another. He's because he's so big, and he's tall, and I agree. But short yardage right away, and just have him hold on to that ball because he's got to understand they'll be punching at that ball. So that's the only thing they fear because Rooster has been around and he knows when to grasp the ball and change the hands. See, I think Franklin's just been such a dominant athlete all his life. He's like you know how when you get guys who come to that next level and they're so used to at the high school level just pushing kids down, but at the next level they got to wrap up. You see, Miami's got a few of those guys that were high school studs, but deficient in tackling.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing, right? Like, he's big and everything, but if you put him in that short yardage, he can still pop one, right? So he might break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and then just pop one.
I'm just talking like 6 to 8 carries. Just give 6, and that's huge for Knighton. Huge for Knighton. That little 6 to 8 carry break, and you get this guy some run. You don't never know. They might not like tackling him. You know what I mean?
Think about it. It goes from 32 carries to 24.
Yeah,
that's
bro.
more manageable. Right?
And listen, I love Brown. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Brown. I think he's the truth too. He's a little bit of everything. He's a tough runner. I know that is not a practice guy, but just throw him out there and see what happens. I think they'll be surprised.
Yeah, no, they already saw him already. They know what he can do. I mean,
I think this might be the right game for him to do something like that. That's the thing, right? It's about putting him in the right situation. I hope the coaches can just let bygones be bygones, man, and just put the best players out there. Vish, again, like we keep talking about our defense, right? Our defense and how they're going to have to do certain things to stop a kid like Jordan Travis, or maybe that kid Colburn, I think is the running back's name. Honestly speaking, they don't really have anything on the outside, right? So you just have to play a solid game on the outside, just put pressure on Jordan Travis, and then spy him with a guy like, Keontre Smith, or maybe bring James Williams down in the box and spy with James Williams, and maybe have these two Tay and Kitchens down in the box. I'm sorry, playing safety. So, but here's the thing on the other side, right? You still got some ballers on the other side for FSU. Jermaine Johnson. Okay, you got some guys on the outside. I mean, Akeem Dent is no slouch, right? He's a pretty damn good cornerback, and they still got some guys over there. So my thing is, you got to be able to neutralize Jermaine Johnson. I think that's going to be the biggest key on defense, is to be able to neutralize him. He's still going to get his plays because he's that good. I think Jermaine Johnson is one of the best, I don't know, outside guys, rush guys, whatever you want to call them, in the ACC and maybe even in the country. The thing is, how aggressive is that FSU defense going to be? Is this going to pose a threat to Miami, to Tyler Van Dyke, or is it more about the atmosphere of the game and the hype around it? Because look, we know. Here's my thing, right? Like, I think that those 3 fumbles and the way that we played last week, and this is why they can't do. I mean, they're not good enough to do this, man. They can't look ahead a little bit per se, right? And I think maybe they kind of got too cocky with just carrying the ball loosely and just kind of doing their thing. And all 3 fumbles were on big plays. They weren't like, I'm going to hit the line and cause a fumble on a tackle. No, they were all on big plays, right? Rambo, Knight, they were all big plays. So I think the thing is they got the big play and they started kind of not showboating, but they kind of got loose with it. They're like, oh, here we go, money. And boom, there it happened, right? So, like, obviously it carried into now the FSU game. Is it more about hype and kind of like just stopping them in their tracks on that defense and scoring some points and getting out early?
So in terms of like mistakes, I think that's just who we are. Like we're sloppy. We make penalties. We're actually one of the worst turnover teams in the country in terms of margin. Like that's and I mean, look at the end of the Pitt game, right? The play we won the game on, we fumbled, but it went out of bounds. Everyone talks about Borregales hitting the upright against Virginia. We fumbled, Knighton fumbled, the ball went out of bounds. So this time it didn't bounce our way. When you put the ball on the ground, this time it extremely didn't bounce our way. Like, they picked one up and ran it back, right? So the pendulum went all the way. These are like worst case scenarios. Like you said, big plays get wiped out. They got a touchdown off of it. So like that type of mistake stuff, like we're going to keep making mistakes. I think the big thing is, I've not seen anything phasing TVD right now. He's so locked in and just like, he's on top of it. Like, they can throw whatever coverage. He goes through his progressions correctly, gets the ball to the right guy. Like, it's gone over the course of like 4 weeks for me, like, worried when he drops back to be like, he's going to find the right guy and put it in their chest. And it's just on top. And I think because there's so much other stuff we're doing poorly, these games are close. It's almost, we all know the numbers, we look at the stats, we're like, wow, but I don't think it's really mentally sunk in what high of a level he's playing at. And so I don't think FSU is going to be able to do anything to stop him. And so to me, the whole thing is can our defense stop the run? Because we haven't actually played a lot of teams that want to just run the ball down your throat.
And they can.
Yeah, and they can, and they do that at a high level.
Yeah.
At a high level, regardless, like nationally high level, running the ball, and they're going to
Yeah.
want to run the ball down our throat. And all these other teams we play, Virginia and North Carolina, Pitt, they're good offenses. They want to throw, and this is the first time we're really going to face a team that's going to run, 5-6 times in a row, really try to control the line of scrimmage. If they're able to do that, that's how you stop our offense, because then we don't get the ball enough. And I think that's going to be their strategy. If we can gum that running game up, they're not going to stop our offense like consistently,
No.
but they can limit the possessions with their offense, and that's where I'm really worried. I don't, unless they somehow have like some ability to generate pressure that they've not shown all year, and kind of because I have noticed Van Dyke's a little bit worse when you flush him out of the pocket. He threw that interception on the 2-point. He's not quite as good. So if they can kind of he is good under pressure, mind you. Like when people get around his space, he does not phase him. It's more just on the run when they flush him out of there. He's not quite as accurate. He threw the interception against Pitt as well. That seems to be one thing where he can probably improve a little bit.
Right.
So if they can, consistently get pressure on him and get him out of the pocket and get him moving, they might be able to have some success. But they haven't really shown that this year. The one thing they've shown that would cause us trouble is running the football. They've definitely shown the ability to do that. And I mean, even watching last week, we did a much better job defensively, but I was thinking two things. I was thinking, good thing Paul Johnson isn't there because he would have just kept running that option ass, and I don't think we would have stopped it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second thing is, good thing their quarterback can't throw because when they decided to throw, he was just throwing it into the ground at wide open receivers' feet over and over again. I'm like, oh my! I was like looking at their depth chart to see if they had a backup that might come in and complete a pass because like they left a lot of meat on that bone as well. But this is a totally different challenge, right? Because FSU doesn't even want to throw.
This would have been such a bad year to face the option.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
Such a bad year.
Yeah.
Well, you
got
can
lucky.
thank Manny Diaz's replacement. Wasn't Manny Diaz his replacement at Temple?
Yeah, for like a couple of weeks. Yes, that was an
very
ex-Temple head coach battle last week.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man, that's awesome. I think at the end of the day, this game is. We're confident. I'm with you, Vish. Like just seeing the progression and his pocket presence has gotten so much better too. TBD. That's the one thing that he does have an issue with a little bit is getting out of the pocket and throwing while he's out in the pocket on the run, scrambling. You've seen that he's made some errant throws, but still he's still making some money throws as well when he does that. So it's probably the game, the part of his game that he needs to work on the most. I would say. I don't know if people, I don't know if FSU is going to be able to stop that. But at the same time, man, we got to be able to. I think the biggest guy running the biggest thing about running the football is I don't think is even the running backs. I think it's Travis. It's Jordan Travis, man. And if we don't stop him on those, because we might get him in those 3rd and longs, right? We might get him in those 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 12s because. Maybe, we stop him up at the line or he makes a bad throw on 1st or 2nd down. Now the problem is if you give him a pocket and you give him time and he finds a hole somewhere, do you have that spy there that's going to be able to stop him before he gets those 12 yards? He's still going to get some, he's still going to get his. It's a matter of limiting how much of his he does get because we all saw how bad Georgia Tech was on 3rd down conversions and they went like 7-13. Right, or some or even better than that last week against Miami. So, we tend to make certain players look a little better than maybe they are. And Jordan, and although Jordan Travis is elite with his legs, I think that you got to limit what he does because at the end of the day, he's the one that's going to be able to beat you on that team. I don't think anybody else really can. So
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see, Larry. Larry, I want you to kind of add something before we go because we'll kind of wrap it up here. Really what you want to see out of this game against Miami. And then moving forward, right? Like, I think it's important to see now, and you weren't here last week, so we kind of talked about this a little bit. But I kind of want to get it again because we're going to talk about it ad nauseum until something happens, right? Whether it's, by the way, is Blake gone, right? Question mark, right? Like, that Flo's laughing because that's like every 2 seconds. That's the question we ask on the Discord, which is hilarious. But is Blake James gone? and not only that, like I mean, and someone wrote an article this week, I think, about assistant coaches that are in the running to get head coaching jobs at other programs. And smack center in the damn article was Rhett Lashley now, right? So now you're starting to say, oh, now Tyler Van Dyke is saving this man, you know, and he's the one. I mean, if it wasn't for Van Dyke, we'd all be like, yo, Rhett Lashley, he's got to get out of here, right? So like now we're seeing that he's on everybody's list now, on everybody's hot list for a head coaching position. You know, this regime, this whole entire program is at a breaking. We're at a point now where it's kind of like, is this team going to be able to save this coaching staff? And even if they do go, you know, if they win the rest of their games and win a bowl game, or somehow make it to the ACC championship game, you know, is this team going to be intact next year as far as coaching staff is concerned? And you know, what do you see as far as just this whole program as a whole, not only this FSU game, but just kind of moving forward?
The FSU game is, I think, like the most important game, because they get over that hurdle. Well, you know, in all reality, I mean, they've played the toughest part of their schedule. I mean, really, when you think about it, I mean, NC State was, you know, a really decent football team. So was Pitt. So, I mean, those two teams, right? And North Carolina, you know, had a lot of guys left over as well. So I thought they played that part of their schedule. Now, the FSU game is so important in this. If they win this game, you got Duke and Virginia Tech, both of them easily winnable. So what if you won out and went to, like you said, that I saw a projection and had them going to some bowl. I forgot which one. It wasn't a terrible one either, believe it or not, because they would have been 8-4. And there's a lot of 8-4 teams, you know, but Miami's a lure at 8-4. So I saw that. So if that happens, there's no way they're getting rid of him. I mean, forget that. I mean, I don't care if he wins the bowl game. Just to me, I said at the beginning of the year, and being honest, if they won 8 games, Manny Diaz was ACC Coach of the Year. Really, I felt that way. Because I know Miami's character, and I saw them playing close games to App State and all. But all of a sudden, you see, I think the thing that changed, they're horrible on defense. And if you don't think it's going to be a 38-37 type of game, you're nuts, because there's just no way they're stopping. Neither team's stopping one another. That's going to be the greatest game they've had in years. I mean, it's going to go back and forth, but the whole thing is Miami's defense just needs so much depth, and I agree with Flo said before. I mean, there's not a need anymore for a 6'5" safety in the NFL. You just don't play that anymore. The Steve Atwaters are no longer around, and Lou Olivers and those big guys like that. The last one was Cam Chancellor. There's no need. Get his ass in the box like Pat Surtain did his senior year. Pat had him as a sophomore, but then brought him back. And as a senior, he said, "You're not going back at safety. You're coming up and playing outside linebacker, where you're going to be in a mix." And that's what changed him, Flo, right there. And yeah, he's a great safety and all, and he's a great athlete, but he's going to make it to the next level as being a guy that's going to be in the mix up front, in the front seven.
Ish, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with what Blue said. This is a pendulum game, because on the flip side, if you win this, there's certainly an opportunity. Duke is by far the worst team in the ACC, so it's really just you're talking about beating Virginia Tech at home.
Yeah.
To get to 8-4, 6-game winning streak, the Blues went, no way you're firing the coach winning 6 games in a row like that.
No way.
But I will say, if you lose to this FSU team, it all goes back the other way.
Yeah,
the team is still 5-4.
Yeah.
Like, all those losses are on the record, and all of a sudden you're 5-5 and you just lost to one of the worst FSU teams we ever saw.
Yep.
It all comes right back. And this game matters. FSU always matters.
It matters a lot.
And one of the things Manny has done twice now is blown out FSU. Like, those games have not been competitive. And to Blue's point, I don't think this team can blow anyone out because the defense just isn't good enough, so I think it'll be more competitive. But if you add to his current resume, also lost to the worst FSU team we probably ever can remember seeing, then it all comes back in. Then your maximum record 7-5.
Yeah.
Forget any of this ACC stuff. You're going to a worse bowl game. It all just unravels pretty quickly. This is a huge game.
Yeah,
Not just
it
for the
is.
rivalry, but for the trajectory. Also, you win this game, FSU is officially eliminated from bowl contention, so you can actually allow us to make fun of our rival fans for a week, so everyone will be happy. So it's kind of like it's all
and we get into bowl and then
it's all kind of wrapped up in here. Miami will be bowl eligible. FSU will be eliminated. They'll pick up loss number 7, and we get another year of getting to make fun of them, and that will buy him more time. But if you lose this and all of a sudden you took that away from us, that might be the last straw. So this is a huge game for him. But to Blue's point, look, there's got to be staff changes anyway. Like the defense, this whole thing needs a fix. You can't, and I think Manny probably took on more than he could handle trying to do both jobs, and he needs a defensive coordinator to come in there and kind of handle the defense. And so even if he stays, you got to bring in a DC, an actual defensive coordinator, and say you can run the defense. I'm going to run the program, which is his job. Lashley or whoever run the offense. You run the defense. I'm running the program.
Yeah.
And that's what good head coaches do. There are some that can do both. That's very limited, though. And for someone that was already kind of struggling as head coach to say, "Oh, I'm going to also take the defense on," that was not a smart move. And if he has and one thing I will say in his defense, he has shown that ability to kind of take that 10,000-foot view and say, "This is broken. We need to fix it." Now, does the solution always work? No.
Yeah, he has done that. That's true.
His solution to fixing the defense was to hire himself. That didn't work, but we can revisit that, right? We can revisit that. And if he'll bring in like someone that's allowed to run the defense,
Yeah,
there
agree.
is a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah, there
and
is.
it's just he's stretched too thin. You can see it. Like sometimes on the sideline, he's trying to talk to the defense, and like the offense is on the field. He's trying to make an adjustment, and then other times he probably needs to make an adjustment, but he's trying to coach because the offense has the ball. It's too much. You need someone dedicated in that role, especially
Nick
with all these young
Saban could
players.
do that. Nick Saban could do that,
Yeah.
and no one would bat an eyelash. But somebody struggling to get air and like him, you don't need that. You don't need it. You're having, like you just said, it's tough enough for him to coach the team rather than to. Yeah, I don't like it. I never liked it from the beginning because he's never going as a head coach. You're walking around during practice to all. He can't do that as a DC. He has to stay with the defense. Yeah.
So Flo, I heard you laughing a little bit about the DC thing with Manny, but I want you to address that, right? But I also want you, and I know Vish wants to talk about this, but if they fire Blake and they keep Manny, is that still a win for the program, right? So talk to me a little bit about both.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's time, right? The right people are finally pissed off. We never had the right people pissed off before. The fans aren't the ones that are supposed to be pissed off where they're going to make moves in that front office. When they start losing real money, not a few Golden Canes, not a few Board of Trustees, I'm talking like the real meat potatoes, right? Where you're getting called out on national television, and where everyone's watching it, that the front office is not aligned. And then they come out with a statement and they say, we're aligned. And 2 weeks later, Franks gets an argument with Blake. Blake gets an argument with Manny. So it's pretty obvious what's going on in the back. For me, it's not. I know it's not the popular thing to say. I'm not really worried if Manny's retained or not, as long as Blake gets officially announced that he's gone. Because if who we think or what we're hearing is coming in, it won't. Manny will become a puppet if he stays here. Manny will never run this defense again if Blake is gone. Like, you guys can save this video, play it to me next year in April and in May. If Blake is officially gone, like apparently he's already got a job, it's not announced or whatever, right? The people that are coming in are not allowing Manny, whether he goes 8-4, goes to the AC Coastal, he will be a puppet. You're going to be a CEO. We're going to pay for you. You're going to go get a DC. You're going to go. And look, Lashley's not the only guy that's going to leave, right? There's another coach on the staff that might be leaving too. So it doesn't. Yes, you can lose the FSU.
On the offensive side or on the defensive side?
It's on the defensive side. But
okay. Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to even talk. If they lose to FSU, it doesn't matter. Everything's getting blown up, right?
Right.
But if he happens to win out, which if he beats FSU, I think it's probably likely that he's going to win out. And he's going to go to a good bowl game. And imagine, and we already made something pretty clear here, right? It's not a talent issue here. It's not a talent issue here at all. We have the dogs to pretty much go up against 90% of college football. That 10%, we're not there. But we can play with anybody pretty much from a personnel standpoint, you know. And for me, this isn't rocket science, you know. It's black, white is white. It's not he's not changing colors. We've already seen Manny. Oh, I'll fix the defense. The defense is worse. Okay, is he over his head? Maybe. Yeah, clearly he's over his head. But he took the challenge. He failed miserably. That defense is atrocious. I'm at the games and it's bad. And I rewatch them on Sunday and I get even more pissed off. Because the type of talent we have there, that should not be happening. Half of that stuff should not be happening, you know? So for me, as long as Blake is officially announced that he's not going to come back sometime soon in the next month or 2 months, to me that is a massive, massive piece for the future of this program. I don't want Manny here because I already seen what he does. I wish him the best. I don't have nothing against him, but it's time to move on from him regardless. But they won't fire him. I agree with you guys. He goes 8-4, goes to a bowl game. They'll probably retain him, but he's going to turn into a puppet. He will not be running this defense next year.
Yeah, he may get like one more year with the new people in place just to kind of see what happens from there.
Yep.
I need Zoe gone now. I need Zoe gone now. Is that what Max is saying? What's Max talking about, man?
Look, I listen. You guys know. You guys know, and we're in good hands moving forward. You know, we're in good hands. Just these wins are complicating the issue. I'm really. I'm really happy. But listen, I'm really happy for the players, though. Like, I'm so happy for the players. I want to make sure I say that. But we're just prolonging, dude. That's all.
I mean, and honestly, that's why people like LSU just get it done, because they know this can happen, and they actually learned that with Les Miles when they let him hang around a little long. He won a bunch of games. They brought him back and had to fire him in the middle of next year. We might be in that situation. Like, these games are razor thin. Like, these are all coin flips. The games we lost, too, we could have won. Yeah. The games we won, we could have lost.
And that's a sign of a team that's not
good. Not good. It's college football. You should be able to win comfortably. Like, the good teams win comfortably most of the time and then win half their close games. That's how you win 10, 11 games. If every game you have is close, you're not good. And we're not good, and I think we know that. You have a good quarterback.
And the difference is coaching. Right at the end of the day, that little
for us it is when you look at the teams we're playing. For us. Like when you line up against App State and if you switch the jerseys around, you wouldn't know the difference. We got a problem, right? And so it's not we're not playing like the elite talented teams. And when we did, we got blown off the field, right? But which is also talent and coaching on that. Like if you line up against Alabama, they're better players and they're better coached. But we've run into teams that are not as talented that are playing up to our level. That's coaching, and those are the teams you got to start beating comfortably. That's how you accelerate the program, right? You don't get into dogfights with Pitt in North Carolina and stuff. You be better than that. It would be like if North Carolina was playing us close in basketball every year and just like, no, they'd be like, what are we doing? We got to be better than Miami at basketball, right? This is the opposite. Like we got to distance. We got to get out of this ACC coastal like log jam that we've been in and elevate above that half of the conference like that. And then you can take on. I know Clemson's down. That should be take on Clemson. That's when you start growing into the playoffs. But as long as you're still constantly getting dragged into these shootouts with Virginia and stuff, you're never gonna get out of there. And that is coaching, like because the talent is there. If they switched rosters with us, they'd be ecstatic. Like I mean, that's it's damning on our program. And to Flo's point, like if Manny's still around, like that the other shoe's gonna drop unless we're either gonna play way better, which is good for everyone, or the other shoe's gonna drop anyway because you can't keep playing like this and just like keep rolling like snake eyes. Like it's not gonna happen. Eventually, it's gonna swing back the other way. So you either got to get substantively better where you're really killing people, or you're gonna start picking up losses again. And if there's a new AD in, there'll be zero appetite for losses because they're gonna want to pick their own coach. So they might have to keep him if he wins 8 games, if he is on a 6-game winning streak. But the second there's a wobble, like if he starts the way he did this year, he's not getting a chance to fix it.
Mm-hmm. I just want to chime in real quick. All TVD did is camouflage everything. That's all that's happened. You've inserted TVD, and now he's camouflaging a lot of stuff because he's playing such a high level that we're winning these close games. The dude's playing lights out.
Yeah.
I think it was like 10 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 3 games. Like all that's happening. I'm just keeping it 100 with you guys, and you guys know football better than me. TVD's come in and literally camouflaged the problems. That's
That guy does.
Yeah, Blue knows football better than us. So I'm not gonna put.
Yeah.
you know, like
I'm just listening to what the hell you're saying.
yeah. In my opinion, that's the only thing that's happened because the defense is still playing like they've been playing bad, and all of a sudden you insert this guy. He takes a couple games to kind of learn how to get going, and now he's just.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a video game.
Right, and to your point, like we were making, you can go back to that Georgia Tech game. We made several plays that normally lose you a game, but it didn't matter because TBD was like on that level, not just good, but on that elite level, like playing at the top of college football level. Because 3 fumbles, 1 gets run back for a touchdown, can't convert in short yardage, missing all those tackles on there. Those are the plays that lose you games. Except TBD, like you said, papered over the whole thing and carried the team over the finish line. It's like, all right, great, we won.
So Blue,
but that we got away with it essentially.
so Blue, like just based off of everything, right? Like I agree. TVD has camouflaged everything. You give this program a solid defense, Blue, and how good can they be? How good are they? Are they beating or playing against that 10% that Flo says we're not there yet?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right there. You're right at that next level, but you got to take that leap. And if you don't take that leap, and you're just going to be an average team, and you're going to win your 8 games and be satisfied, and that's it. And that's what you want, then that's what you're going to get.
I mean, you're kind of seeing that too. Like, there's another team out there, and I hate to say this, but are we not? I don't want to say equivalent, obviously, because they're 8-0, but like Oklahoma kind of has a little bit of the same issue, right? Where they're not very good on defense, but they kind of figured it out a little sooner than we did in bringing in Caleb Williams, right? So
yeah,
I guess their defense is a little bit better, right? Because they're 8-0 for a reason.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you this: you take a look at a team like Oklahoma, and obviously they're getting the best of the best type of kids. I mean, and they're deep, and they're a deep team. Right now, that's Miami's problem. We're looking at it at a running back position now. And you look at after Rooster, who do we have? Like, you have those young guys, but a lot of these teams were wondering when, excuse me, when Jalen Hurts and Tua were at Alabama, there was that little guy, Mac Jones, just hanging out in the background. And he's not leaving because that's how you win championships. Because as soon as you lose this guy, you have that guy. And Miami, I still remember when I used to do football back in the 80s, late 80s, when you would go to the spring game at the Orange Bowl, and then you walk behind the bench, and you look at the names on the back, and you go, oh, man, I forgot Miami had that guy. That's when your program has arrived. With Miami, starting when Duke and Tracy came, they inserted their asses into the lineup before they knew what hit them. I mean, and I'm thinking, that shouldn't be. You can't take kids right off of campus and start putting them in the lineup without somebody being there to guide them and somebody being a mentor for them, or they're going to see. So when you look at it, Duke Johnson and Tracy Howard, they had nobody to mentor them. They're the one. They went through the 4 years, and they were like, throwing these kids off on an island and say, well, survive, and that's what happened. And that can't be. It can't be. You have to have guys like Najee Harris right now at Alabama as a sophomore waiting his turn to go. That's what you need to have, and Miami don't have that yet. But someday, hopefully.
Hopefully someday. Before we kind of end, Danny, I know that maybe you kind of heard us talk a little bit about the state of the program and what's going on later. I don't know if you want to kind of chime in before we kind of get final words from everybody here too.
Also, if you want to comment on the Scott Frost contract restructure.
He fired 4 guys. He fired 2 guys, 4 guys on defense. I think he fired 4 defensive guys.
Yeah, we cleaned house on the defense, and
I'm telling you,
big things going on in Nebraska, man.
Danny,
We'll
do
have
you
to
have
see.
Do you have heating up there in the Great White North? Do you have heating up there?
I do, but it's still miserably cold. I mean, you guys complain about 72 degrees, and I'm over here like, I'll go visit you guys. You guys come up to 28 degrees and windy.
No
But
thanks.
no, when you guys were talking about depth, I was just thinking you guys mentioned Oklahoma and the quarterbacks that they've had. You know, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, even for a little bit. You know, depth is important, and it's something that I've always talked about, especially when you look at like the safety position with Miami. They have, you know, the number one safety. What is it? 2 classes in a row,
Yep.
and so depth is important for this program, and you know, depending on how this season plays out and how this season ends, if they keep Manny or if they don't keep Manny, how will that affect recruiting? Because you know I love recruiting, and I look at things from a recruiting point of view. You know, if they get rid of Manny, will they have to start all over? Will they have to get new connections? So there's a lot of things at play here, and it starts like you all mentioned with the FSU game. If we can win the FSU game and then win out, then you know maybe possibly things can kind of continue to progress. Right. We'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting last couple weeks here.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you know what? You mentioned we haven't even talked about recruiting, right? And as Flo, I know that I've heard you say. I mean, some guys are Manny guys. Some of these kids in this class, and some of the kids that are on the team now. And I mean, if Manny's gone and we lose some of the guys that we're talking about here that are Manny guys, shit. Right, like Flo, and I want to kind of get your take on that because I think that's important to kind of touch on. I know the transfer portal is a big thing, right? And we'll be able.
It's a huge thing. It's going to be everything for them.
It is everything, right? At this point, I think it's everything for a lot of programs.
Well, for Miami, it's going to be huge because I think they're going.
Miami has 8 recruits right now, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Miami's going to whiff on a lot of these kids, but then go to the portal and strike gold.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy because I think the last 2 classes Miami has gotten are actually really liked. You know, the 20 class and the 21 class, I actually think they actually hit on those classes. And I thought they needed 2 more, this one and 1 more, because the next one after this one is
nuts.
I haven't seen something like that in a long time. I thought they were positioning themselves to actually start building a program again with depth, right? And I was surprised, man. I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys again. When you're talking to some of these families of the recruits, or you get them on the side and you get to talk to them, they're Manny guys. And I even when we were losing, they were like, if he's, you know, like, I think I agree with Blue. Like, we're gonna whiff on a lot of guys if we announce Manny's gone. But and I'm not saying I'm for this, but it is a weapon at this point. The portal is a weapon. You don't have to like it. It's here to stay, and it's a weapon. Look at Michigan State. Right? 14 transfers are playing for them. Like, actually starting for their team.
Yeah, and FSU has 9. FSU has 9.
Right. And Michigan State was in the top 10. Like, you know, and Mel Tucker knows what he's doing over there, by the way. But I don't think this, and I hate to say this on the show because I know people watch this, but I don't think it's because I love recruiting. I'm like your man up top. Like, I love recruiting. But this one cycle, Miami's just going to go to the portal, fill some holes, because we got a young team anyways. They just can't whiff on the next one.
No.
You know?
Especially receivers in that.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Dude, Blue, I know you do this all the time. I haven't seen something like this in.
Yeah.
It's so deep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so, wow.
Yeah, it's really good. And statewide, too, because we do camps upstate, and there's a lot of kids in that 23 class. Especially the receivers, they're really, really good. And you got guys like Ennis. You know, to me, the thing about Ennis, who has another year, I told even Pat Surtain had shared with me that he thought he would benefit by going to an IMG setting because right now he's playing quarterback, so it's not helping him. And next year, see if he goes to an IMG every day in practice, no matter who it is, he's going to go against a 4 or 5 star. So
Facts.
You got man. Whatever. I don't want to tell anybody to go anywhere, but I just think it's the best.
Tell him, Blue, go to Miami.
Nah, the hell with
it. No, but Blue brought up a really good point, and a lot of people don't know this. I know Blue knows this because this is what he does. But we were talking about James Williams, how they played him in the box his last year, because there was rumors and rumblings when he was a junior that he didn't like contact. They were like, if you were on the sidelines and you were listening, people were like, he's a little, and he put all that to rest when they put him in the box. So that's what a good coach does to a player like that.
Yeah.
And I think to piggyback off the Ennis thing, I think Ennis should have went somewhere like that as well, because then all of a sudden his stock is going to rise because he's going to get pushed and he's going to answer more questions. But look, and I don't want to get into this because we'll do a whole other show. Ennis is just the top of it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's like 6-8 dudes that are legit. That's like can't miss dudes, in my opinion, in that class.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to watch, and I think this offseason is gonna be interesting because of the transfer portal. But even I think the 2023 kids starting now, it's gonna be fun to watch, and we'll definitely.
But also, you can't not make a coaching change because you're worried about kids leaving.
Oh no, yeah,
I mean, you got to do what's right for the program.
It's gonna happen.
And there's going to be turnover.
Happens everywhere.
Yeah, you just have to make that decision, and then wherever they're, because sometimes I feel retained coaches who are like, well, they got this class. It's just you're going to pay for that later.
Yeah.
So you just got to make whatever the right decision is.
Blue, Flo, Danny, Vish, you guys have been awesome as usual, man. This was an awesome show. I was really excited about it. We even went longer than we probably should have, but who cares?
Everybody, who cares?
FSU week, man. It's FSU week.
FSU week, man. Switch over to Kane's site when you're done here. Go watch Chris because they always have some awesome content over there. I'm sure
I'll be going over there.
Yeah, Flo will be over there.
There you go. Follow Flo over there.
Thank you guys for showing up, man. We appreciate it. Obviously, you can check us out on 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and give us a thumbs up there on the YouTube network as well. You can check us out there. You can always check out Larry. Tell them where they can find you. Obviously, Larry Bluestein, but all the things that you do.
At WQAM every Monday, except tonight we had to do a show 6 to 8, but it was nice. And then I promised that I'd join you, so I'm falling asleep as I'm talking, but that's okay. No, and we do a podcast. Me and Alex do a podcast, which I think is really good. I like it because we now I got Alex believing that you could be a Hurricane fan, but you could also be objective too. So.
Oh wow, really? Alex Donald to do that? Wow. All right. Well, by the way, that's a great. By the way, I love going on that podcast. It's, the Five Rings Canes podcast is awesome. They just put out a new episode yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Yesterday.
No, we did it this morning, so it was today.
Oh, it was today. Okay, yeah. I knew I saw it and I posted it. So check that out, and always check out Blue on the South Florida High School.
I appreciate that.
Which, by the way, I love going on. That stuff is awesome too. I love what you do there. So
thanks.
Keep that up, Flo. Let them know.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Miami Flow Show. We're tailored more to recruiting and the Canes. And all the money we make, we just give it back to the players with NIL deals. That's like our niche. We love doing that. Yeah, that's all we're about. I grew up in Miami. I'm never gonna not try to give back. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I love every one of you. I watch every one of you guys, and thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Vish and Danny, we know where to find your asses all the time.
Right here.
Yeah, true.
Check us out every Wednesday, and obviously this Saturday, 3:30 p.m. baby, up in Doak Campbell. We'll hopefully we'll be talking a lot about that after that game, during and after. You'll probably see me tweeting a lot of crap.
Nice. I'm taking a collection for Danny's new Hurricane sweater.
Yeah, we gotta
get a little bit of NIL money's got to clean this up.
There
too.
you go.
We can't have this. We cannot have this.
Yeah, I hear you.
They do sell Miami sweaters. All right, I know we don't wear them a lot over here, but they do.
There's this website. I don't know if you've heard of it, called Amazon.com. They'll send one right to your house.
That'll get you.
Terrible. You guys are terrible.
All right, guys.
I'm used to it by now. I'm stuck with them, so I'm used to it. I'm stuck with them.
We'll see you guys next week.
Good night.
See you later.
Right,
have a good night, guys.
All right, you too. Bye.
Go Canes.
You guys are awesome, man. Thank you.